Good morning still, well, not by the skin of my teeth, but we'll probably go on not for too long, but we've got quite a meaty topic to talk about today. Bereavement and loss. Why is it, well, I know why, but do you find that, especially coming up to the Christmas period, that even though it's meant to be a happy and wonderful and exciting time, it can also be a sad time. It can also be a lonely time, and it can trigger many memories, some of them quite sort of well buried. And I think the problem with anyone that has suffered loss or is going through that sort of cycle, and it is a cycle, though not a uniform one that the textbooks say we should follow. I think the thing is that we are expected to paint, sort of paint a happy face and get on with it. I want to refresh so I can see if, not that I want to hear me, but I want to see, someone, you see, now I've sort of, please forgive me, someone's wanting to join, so I shall approve that. Welcome aboard, lovely to see you. I hope you don't mind me doing this, but it's, hi, who have we got here? Lisa, thank you for joining us, Lisa. We've got another one that wants to join, so let's just have the more the merrier, because I tell you what, may as well get people in whilst they're keen to join, don't you think? So good to see you, ladies. Thank you for joining us. I'm looking to see if this post is going live so that I can start seeing, well, something's happening there, so at least I can see. We're talking about loss and bereavement. Suzanne, thank you for joining us. And whoever else is there, come and say hello. It'll be good to chat to you. I think I don't want to get too maudlin, because that's really that's not me serving my purpose here. And I just want to try and lift the lid on loss and bereavement and say that it can be really, really shitty. And do you know what? There's no cookie cutter answer. That's the short answer. There is no cookie cutter answer. There is no one size fits all, because bereavement is a very, very strange thing, and it can hit you absolutely sideways when you least expect it, or grief, should I say. I've seen sort of people just chatting away and having a nice time, piece of music comes on, they dissolve into tears, or not even that, sort of just walking along the street, or usually there's a trigger, but sometimes there's not. And I have had a lot of training on this for Childline, because I've done voluntary work for Childline, and I sort of rocked the boat there when I was going through the training, only because they said, and here is the grief model. And you start off with shock and do you know what? I think I might turn this into a handout, but it's not going to be this side of Christmas, I'm afraid. Because there's quite a lot going on, really. But I think it's quite important that we have something that we can refer to. So I'll see. But Childline sort of, and it's not just them, it's recognised, not by me, that there is a grief cycle. And you start off with sadness and shock, and then it goes into anger and denial. And we've got, and I'll go through each of these things. And I've suffered bereavement. I've suffered loss. My dad died 3.5 years ago, and it wasn't huge, it was, I was going to say it wasn't hugely nice. It wasn't extremely stressful either. He was diagnosed with terminal cancer, so I had the luxury of, as the family did, knowing that he was going to die, so we were able to say what needed to be said, and I think that really helps. So I have never, ever yet, now it might, as I say, it might hit me with a curveball tomorrow or in 2 weeks' time or 2 years or whatever. I have never experienced anger over his death. So when Childline says, well, the first thing you'll feel is this, and then you'll feel this, and then you'll feel that, and then you'll feel this, I was going, no, you're wrong. And they sort of went, no, we're right. And I said, well, there were quite a lot of us that sort of suffered various losses. And I said, but I don't fit that model, so therefore it's wrong in my world. So therefore it's a huge assumption to say that it's going to fit everyone else's world, it's everyone else's experience, because grief is hugely different. The question is, and I think it's probably things that parents need to know, is how can you support someone that is going through that? Because that's, you could go and Google it and it'll give you the grief cycle and say, next you will deal with this, and next you will deal with that. And that's fine, yada, yada, yada. But you will, if your experience is anything like mine to go by, no, it doesn't work like that. Why is it one minute your child's fine and the next minute they just feel absolute desperation? And then, it's so, the advice I can give is seek compassion for you and compassion for anyone else that is going through it. And just be aware that the thing is if your child is going through grief, I can't understand why you wouldn't be going through grief as well. Even if it's a mate of theirs, you are a product of that loss, maybe slightly sort of more sort of detached than your child, but you're still experiencing it. So, the point is that I would say that if your child is suffering loss and bereavement, so are you to an extent. More so, less so, it's immaterial. So the thing is to be aware of it constantly, not to make excuses and go, oh, that's why they're being, an absolute SH1T because they're grieving. We've got to have some boundaries, and we've got to have a code, but also we have got to have empathy and compassion. But let me just, the reason why it seems to rear its head at this time of year, I guess, is because Christmas is just an anniversary, isn't it? And it's how you deal with it and approach it. If you can, you see, we and again, I said, I said that my dad died 3.5 years ago. He died in the March, and so in fairness, that Christmas, we knew it was going to be, unless he beat all the odds, we knew it was going to be his last Christmas. No one actually said it, but we also interjected humour as well. We had a sort of big party, and my dad, a bit like me, was an introvert. And so really, this big family party, I think it was the day before Christmas Eve, and we were all together, and it was lovely. It was a big extended family. And it was sort of everyone not saying goodbye to him, but wanting to spend some or all of their Christmas with him. And he sat there with my daughter Alice, clinging to her hand, because he didn't like crowds, really. He was just a gentle sort of fellow that just didn't want to be the centre of attention. And he just said to Alice, whatever you do, don't leave me. He said, because I just, if you see that I've been sort of stuck with someone, come and sit by me and look after me. And it was a sort of, he had a very, very dry sense of humour, and I'm thrilled that my children have inherited that, as have I think. But what we were very mindful of doing, without sort of doing the doom and gloom, was to acknowledge that this was his last Christmas. So let's make the most of it, but let's take the photos, and let's have the laughter, and let's make these memories, so that the following Christmases, it gives you sort of something to reflect back on, I think. And so the point is, if you are, and I say these words with love and compassion, so I'm sure I will trigger things with you, and forgive me if I do, but if you have the luxury of, and I do mean this with the best of intentions, if you have the luxury of knowing someone is terminally ill, you can do something about it. So maybe you need to say things, maybe you need to apologize, maybe you need to forgive, maybe you need to there's lots of stuff, but believe me, it's well worth doing, because when the inevitable comes and then you come out the other side and you have the grieving process to deal with, it makes it much, much easier. I live in Northern Ireland. My dad lived in Liverpool with Mum. And I used to visit, oh my God, everything went on hold whilst he was ill. And I would probably visit for 5 or 6 days at a time every 10 days. So I was, in limbo. But I had the luxury of spending time with Dad and talking about stuff and hearing what his views were. Invariably, we were a close family, so I knew anyway. But I had the luxury of time. Many people are robbed of that. And I think that's part of the grieving process rather than the cycle. I think the thing is that when a death comes as a shock, it's much, much harder for the brain to process. And I think that's when your child, or even yourself or your loved ones around you, need to support one another or need support from you. It just, I think it's really, really hard when you need to support your child and you can see that they need that, and yet you also need the support yourself. So be kind to yourself. Don't expect to, right, well, it's 3 months on, or it's 6 months on, or it's 3 years on, whatever it is, and you feel as though you haven't made progress. Don't beat yourself up about it. Because, as I said, there is no one size fits all. But it's, right, I'm just going to, I'm going to sort of start giving advice. I'm wittering because there's no right way, but I've written stuff down, so I'll go through it. Now, it's tricky with teenagers. It's tricky with kids, actually, because especially if it's their first loss, or if it's a very, very close one. I mean, forgive me, and I don't wish to be trite, but if the hamster dies or Fluffy goes to heaven, we can deal with that and give it platitudes, and you can get over it. If it's something, if it's something more powerful, I don't know, like a grandparent or a parent or a mate or whatever, that is very, very different. I think, now let me just see, for children pre-5 years old, they haven't quite, and this is just to give you an idea that it's not them being horrid or insensitive. It's the way their brain has been wired and is still developing. So it's a developmental thing. But pre-5 years old, you know, if I use the example of, oh yes, my daddy died at the weekend. But I hope he's back in time for my nativity play because he helped me with my lines. The thing is that pre-5 years old, children do not understand time yet. They don't understand permanence. And they are very sort of becoming self-aware, but don't sort of quite understand the detachment from one person, you know, age thing. Daddy is bigger and older, but they don't understand, I guess, the life, you know, the life cycle yet. So if sort of my nanny died, you know, it's, well, I hope she gets better soon and is back for, you know, Sunday lunch in January type thing, because they haven't developed that. And so I think the thing is, with that age group, it's just a matter of repetition, and it's just a gentle reminder every so often, know that, you know, what is permanence, and you know, it's just helping them to understand exactly what permanence is. There's post 5 is, you know, and it's probably, you know, sort of, it starts when the children are getting a little bit older. They start to ask questions. They start to ask, let me just see, when and where did these things happen? so that they can just put it all into context, because the mind needs to start processing these things. So, you know, when did it happen and where did it happen, and give me the facts. So my brain can process it. They then get a little bit older, and it's not them being maudlin, but it's them needing more details. So they need to sort of start asking how. Now, with respect, if it's a sudden death, that can be really quite hard to communicate. But I'm a firm believer, and you listen, you do what works for you, but I am a firm believer of age-appropriate information, so how the brain deals with it. But I don't go by lies and secrecy and pretense. I think, and as long as it's age-appropriate, I firmly believe that children are little people. And they can, you know, they can deal with information, and there's sort of, the brain sort of knows when enough's enough. So it's, you know, it's like, well, Granny died yesterday, and we're all very sad, and we're all, you know, and it's, oh, okay, right. Is Stacey still coming around for tea? And that's fine, because what's happened there is the brain has said, your child's brain has said, thank you, I've got that, I'm going to have to process that, but I don't need any more information. So they don't need to hear, you know, about Granny's death. They don't need to hear about her dying wishes or anything like that. Too much information and not relevant to the child at that time. But, you know, what doesn't serve the child is, oh no, Granny's gone away on a holiday and she won't be here for Christmas. Well, you know, because that just breeds one lie after another. So I am a firm believer that as long as it's age appropriate, it is best to confront any situation, in fairness, not just death and bereavement, but any situation, so that your child is able to process it. You know, for example, like divorce or separation. And it's just, give your child enough information so that they know that they can, you know, that you know that they can cope with it. And if the dust has settled and they need to hear a little bit more, that's fine. So I've sort of said here that, you know, when they get a little bit older, they start, you know, sort of want more detail. How did it happen? When they get older still, it's the why. Why did this happen? And invariably, if you get too many whys, you don't actually know the answer. You know, we did Jack and Alice, when my dad died, were teenagers. Alice was just doing final A-levels and Jack was at uni. So, you know, they had been brought all the way through the process. As soon as my dad had been diagnosed with cancer, it was the first, apart from my husband, they were the first people I told. And they needed to, you see, the thing is that if you hide things from kids, if you try and protect them, then when you're crashing and burning, if they don't know the facts, they don't understand why you're behaving like a witch or why you're behaving the way you are. But if they're in the full picture, they get it. So pretense and secrecy doesn't serve the whole family. So, in my opinion, openness is important. And it's just how much you want to share. But I wouldn't encourage you to hide stuff, because you just get confused, and you know, it's hard to work out who knows what. So as soon as Dad was diagnosed with terminal cancer, Jack and Alice were brought on board and they were told. So the answer to the why there would be, well, why did he die? Well, you know, he died because he had terminal cancer. Yeah, but why him, and why he was so young? Because he was only 78. And which nowadays is, you know, my granny lived to 101, so they are. But why him, and why, and why, and why? And people say that cancer is because of, so why? You know, and rather than, oh, well, I don't know, I'm not the doctor. It opens up the arena for conversation. And sometimes it's a hard one, but sometimes it's I don't know, but let's just talk about how shitty our situation is. Because that is vital. I think what happens with the older the child gets, what they then start doing is replaying, especially if the death is sudden. They start replaying their last conversations, or when I last chatted to my mate, or why did I shout at them, and now that's all they'll have in their mind just before they died was my argument with them. Not true. But that also needs to be processed. So it's up to you to help them through. And actually it'll take a while before that comes out, because the guilt will make them feel that they can't express their worries, because it'll make them feel even worse. But as I've said throughout my Advent calendar, if you've been watching it, is that the brain needs to process stuff. The brain, the more we push stuff away, the bigger that stuff gets. So, and that let's go through that. The brain is scientifically speaking, what happens is if we have a sort of a thought coming in here, what we need to do is allow it to go through the mind, to process it, to churn it around, to thrash it all out, to see the pros and the cons and the woulds and the shoulds and the maybes and the whatevers, and then letting it come out the other side. Sort of a bit like throwing it through a washing machine and then coming out clean. Yeah, but what happens is if this sort of thought comes in and you sort of go, oh God, no, I don't have the strength to deal with that. I can't process it. I feel guilty. I feel bad. Oh no, push it away. What happens is that mountain, let's say of washing, gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so you haven't processed it. And so your brain's going, oh no, here it comes again, even bigger. And it starts making that mountain a mountain out of a molehill. So what I encourage you to do is process all this stuff when it starts showing itself, be it sadness, anger, frustration, guilt, whatever it is, and talking through it. And actually not going, oh no, you shouldn't feel like that because Grandpa loved you. It's, yeah, I get that feeling. I know how you feel. I so get that. But don't you remember that he loved you implicitly? Don't you remember that he loved you unconditionally? Don't you remember when you broke his window when you were 5 and all he wanted to do was hug you? That's what he's like. He didn't care monkeys about an argument because he loved you unconditionally. And that's the things to remember. And those are the things to process, is to put a little bit of perspective into it. So when your child is going, why, and going through the guilt, and I had those arguments, and that is natural. Everything. Do you know what? The whole of the guilt process is natural. There is no right way of doing it. It is understandable. And the point is there's no right or wrong way to do it, because we're all different. And I'm afraid to say some people beat their chests and weep and wail. And if you are someone that doesn't, it's hard to cope with that. It's, could you just not go somewhere quietly and get over your own process of grieving? But sadly, we're all different. So we need to understand that we are all different. And your way of grieving is very different to someone else's way of grieving. And we have to respect that. I mean, in fairness, wait for it, I haven't shed a tear about my father's death. I haven't cried. Okay, I've had oh my God, I was listening to the hymn before he died, and I thank him for this, because he said one day, he sort of said, right, okay, because I kept on coming over, I was the one that sort of, he did all his organising with, and he went, right, okay, we've got a job to do today, and I went, right, what is it? And he said, we're planning my funeral. Oh God, seriously? No, you really will thank me for this. And also, he said, I don't want anyone singing All Things Bright and Beautiful. I think it's an absolutely appalling hymn and I can't cope with it. And so that was fine. So I said, right, well, what hymn are you starting off with? And he went, How Great Thou Art. And I went, I beg your pardon, I've never even heard of it. And he went, right, well, you're going to have to learn, young lady, because you're standing at the front and you've got a good voice and you've got to bloody well sing your heart out. And so, amongst all this, I had to sort of understand, because there's nothing worse than a hymn that no one knows, and and the sort of congregation and, you know, sounding all muted. So I learnt How Great Thou Art. So when the time come, believe me, I was belting it out from wherever, from the front. But it was quite funny because, you know, and I still, every day something reminds me of my dad, and I loved him dearly. And I saw something on Facebook, and I think Colin put it up, and it was How Great Thou Art. And I thought, right, okay, listen, I prepared myself for this. And I thought, I'm just going to give myself 2 or 3 minutes to watch this and remember Dad, and, you know, raise a mug to him and say love you dearly. So I started listening to How Great Thou Art, and it was lovely because it started making me think of, you know, we were coming up to Christmas, and I was thinking all about those sort of lovely memories that we had created. And I also remembered his funeral, which was standing room only, and it went down really well. So I was full of gratitude and all that sort of stuff because, as you know, I'm a glass half full person. And then watching this Facebook thing, they started, in my humble opinion, it was a young sort of rock choir groupie sort of set of people. In my opinion, they started really giving the song their own, a bit X Factor-ish, you know, and they started, the harmonies were coming out, in my opinion, all wrong. And suddenly I heard in my ear my father going, what on earth's happening here? They're absolutely ruining it. And so in a moment of feeling sad, I was sort of feeling, I just made me laugh because I could hear him just going, God, I can't listen to this anymore. Turn over and let's do some Bee Gees or whatever it was. And so I think the thing is that that's a long story about, I can't even cry about Dad's death because I do feel very, very blessed that he died at home with, you know, his family around him, and Liverpool had just beaten Arsenal, so he was thrilled. My dad died last October, and all the music we have was Dire Straits songs. Isn't that what it's all about? My dad loved Frank Sinatra and swing bands. And so do I. I was brought up on it. Oh, and Elvis Presley. And those, to me, listen, come on. And I mean, I'm digressing, but as far as death is concerned, no one has beaten the system yet. So it's coming to us all. So in fairness, self-care advent calendar, we should be living life in case it is our last. And I know it's easier said than done, but it's always a point to remember that there's, you know, it is certain that when we are born, that we will die eventually. The really hard thing to bear is if it is not the circle of life. And this is one thing that might help for a death of someone who is old. Because Alice, yeah, when Dad died and Alice couldn't process it properly, and she was going, but I know I was expecting it, but it's horrid and it's awful and it's and I don't know what to do, and because she loved him dearly, as did Jack, but I think this conversation might even been with Jack, I can't remember, but it was one of my kids, and I said, but sweetheart, this is the circle of life. And I think we had just had a little cousin born 2 or 3 days beforehand, or something like that, or someone was born about that sort of time. And I said, look, we've got one coming in and one going out. And I said, it's shitty, but this is the circle of life. And that was her light bulb moment. That was, for her, that was, oh, I get it. It's horrid he's gone, but he was always going to go, wasn't he? Yeah. Now the problem in many situations is if the death is sudden or is premature, and that is when the brain can't process it. That's when the brain goes, this is not fair, and quite rightly, it is not fair. Whether or not it's a sudden illness or an accident, or God forbid someone takes their own life, or whatever it is. It's much harder to process. So how do we do that? I think we have to be open, and we have to be honest, and we have to be patient. Young people, especially teenagers, do ask themselves, statistically shown apparently, is did my actions cause this death in any way? And the instinctive reaction is, oh God, don't be so stupid. But that's not the answer. It really isn't. The answer is, well, really, is, do you remember, you know, I talk about how we have to acknowledge our own feelings and how we have to be kind to ourselves and how we have to sort of say, okay, well, we can't control our feelings, but we can control our actions. So if you're lucky enough to have your child speaking to you, then remove all judgment and do not try and trivialize anything that they say. Everything must be acknowledged. Everything must be addressed, whatever they produce to you. Because what happens is the young people feel guilty that I can't let mum see that I'm sad, or I can't let dad see that I'm not being strong for him, or if I mention this death, then I'm going to upset my brother or sister, and that is not healthy. So as a parent, it is important to remove our ego and remove our own emotions, and even to the extent of, listen, I'm feeling really crappy today and I'm sorry, but this is just the way it is, you know, and I'm feeling bad because it's got nothing to do with you. It's just because that's what's my body and my head's throwing up. And then they will start to get it. And by the same token, it's, listen, I know, I can see that, you know I was crappy yesterday. I can see it's happening to you. Do you want to talk about this? And they might go, no. And you go, okay, that's cool, because I know how you feel, or I acknowledge how you feel, or I understand. I was feeling fear yesterday. I don't know if you can even tell me. And funnily enough, things like kids can't always voice their emotions. One child was sort of saying, I feel hungry the whole time. And so they were, and someone said, oh, it's comfort eating. And no, it wasn't. What it was that they just felt really hollow inside and empty. And they thought that feeling was hunger. And actually it was just a gaping hole. And it was just that sense of loss. But they didn't know how to verbalize it. So it's even things like, you know, tell me, I mean, it depends if this works, but it's, you know, that feeling you got, where in the body can you feel it? Oh God, here or here is, they can't verbalize what they're feeling, but oh, in my chest, or oh, my stomach. Oh right, what color is it? Does it have a color? And they sort of, you know, they might look at you and go, well, you're barking, or they might just go, oh yeah, it's fiery red, or it's really black, or whatever it is, and even encourage them to sort of say, well, do you know what works for me? Is, you know, that sort of, it might be really intense, or it might, you know, if it feels really, really black, just breathe in and do a breathing exercise, and breathe in, everything that you breathe in is light and white maybe, and breathe it in and make that breath go to where that colour is, and make that white dilute that colour a little bit. And when you breathe out, maybe it's a grey that's coming out because it's diluted the black a little bit, and then you're just losing a little piece of that horrid colour. And it works for kids because they have that imagination. But breathing in the white and breathing out the dark, or whatever it is, just to see if they can loosen something up. Because sometimes they don't want to verbalise what it is that's going on. Sometimes they're too scared even to address the fact that it's me. This happened because of me. This happened because I didn't do my homework. This happened because I didn't get my grades. This happened because I'm a bad child. This happened because God wants to punish me. Whatever it is. And we know it's not the truth. But sometimes even trying to find out what your child's trigger is God, if you can find it, it's a powerful breakthrough. But acknowledging it and going, oh, I get it. Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean now. Not, oh no, you're wrong. No, that would never have happened. Oh no. It's just acknowledging it and then just taking that feeling away and going, do you know what? I get why you're saying that, but I don't believe that to be the case because not, oh, don't be so silly. Nothing like that would have ever happened, you know. So it's respecting and being tender and because the thing is, if we slam down our children's thoughts and beliefs, they are not going to open up again. They're just going to say, oh, she doesn't understand, he doesn't get me, he doesn't, you know, they can't help me, it's just me. It's just me because I'm bad, or it's just me because it, you know, and invariably kids might say, well, it should have been me. I don't know, you know, they need to rationalise it in their head, but they don't know how to. So if you can, in a gentle sort of way, release the connection between the death that has happened and them, because they have that and they need to understand that it's their job eventually to move forward. And yeah, I mean, what I always sort of say is, you know, oh, time's a great healer. Well, okay, if that's, you know, there's not a day goes past that I don't talk to my dad and I don't miss him. The point is that life still has those scars, but it shows you how to carry on with them, to walk with them. And yeah, I mean, and I've had losses of people, you know, younger than myself, or when it's not the circle of life, what's all that about? And it's just acknowledging that actually, yeah, life can be shitty sometimes. And life can throw us the curveballs that we don't quite know how to deal with. But when you deal with them collectively, as a family, or as a mum and a son, or a mum and a daughter, or a dad and a, you know, whatever, there is strength and comfort in that. As long as we don't try and problem solve. I think the thing is trying to problem solve. I think with kids as well, you know, it's very natural for them to question their beliefs, be it faith or whatever. I've seen many sort of people who, well, how can there be a God if? And that's natural. That's natural to question that. And as a parent, if your faith is very strong to you, try not to shove it down your child's neck, because they're trying to work it out themselves. How can you say that? God stand by me through, you know, throughout all this. That's fine, but God might not. They might feel that God hasn't, or whoever your creator is, they might not feel as though God's done his bit just yet. And it's up to them to work it out. And so give them the respect to be able to work it out for themselves. Had 3 huge curveballs thrown at us lately, and it's tough. It is so tough, Lisa. But I think the thing is, and do you know what? Yeah, when you're down, life kicks you a little bit harder, doesn't it? And I think the trick is to try and put the brakes on and go, listen, I need to deal with this. I need to deal with this as best I can, but I've got to give myself and those around me love and compassion. And if you are lucky enough to be able to deal with it collectively and it serves you well, hurrah. If not, then listen, please, can I just get on with this? I'm here for you, but I need to sort this out in my own head as well. I think the first thing is you know, with teenagers, here's what I would suggest, is 1, listen actively. Just listen. What happens if they don't want to talk? Maybe just verbalize when you're feeling upset, crappy, awful, whatever, and go, listen, I don't know about you guys today, but I'm feeling a bit or I'm feeling X, Y, or Z. Anyone want to come with me for a walk, or anyone want to come with me for a milkshake, or anyone want to sort of sit down and rock in a corner somewhere, whatever. Just saying, this is how I'm feeling. Is anyone like this, or are you all okay today? And that's all you have to say. You don't have to sort of say, so let's all bond. And, if no one takes you up on it, that's fine. But the point is by just throwing that out there, what doesn't happen is they're going, oh, well, I was feeling all right, and suddenly they've made me feel crap again. It doesn't work like that. Because with grief, what happens is that it's always there. Until it sort of is always there but doesn't feel bad anymore, if that makes sense. So I think even by mentioning how you're feeling isn't going to bring everyone else down. It's a bit like shining the light on it all. And they go, yeah, I felt a bit like that about half an hour ago, but I think I'm getting better. Oh, okay. Anyone want to listen to Elvis or whatever? Do you know what? Anyone want to listen to Dire Straits? And no, you're all right. So it's just sort of putting it out there a bit more instead of being all secretive and don't mention the war type thing. Do you know what I mean? So listen actively. Listen not only with your ears, but observe with your eyes. See what the body language is. See how people are operating. Are you struggling today? Do you need a hand? Or listen, I'm always here. You know that, don't you? I am always here for you, even if you just want to sit beside me and watch a movie. We don't have to talk. That's the whole point. I think a lot of the things is that we feel we need to talk when we want to talk because I think I've got the answers to this one. Do you know what I mean? And it never follows the right path. So actively listen. See if you can explore their feelings. A bit like I sort of said, if you don't want to sort of say, are you hurting? Are you feeling, anger? Just say, where do you feel it? Where is it? And a lot of the time it's in the throat. A lot of the time it's in the heart. It's that emptiness, all that intense. It's different for everyone. God, I mean, I've seen someone who's sort of had a dicky hip after a bereavement. It's where the body stores it. And the secret is trying to, even as that little breathing technique, even sort of teaching someone to breathe through it. That doesn't make it go away, but it actually allows someone the space to acknowledge that actually what they're feeling is all right. It's natural. It's normal to have pain after you've lost someone dear. Rather than stiff upper lip and, get on with it. Don't, whatever you do, say to your son, now that grandpa or dad's gone, you've got to be the man of the house. No, let our children be children for as long as possible. It was something in the Waltons ages ago. I can't even remember. Yes, I did used to watch the Waltons. And it was like, you've got to be the man of the house. I think dad had gone away. He hadn't even died. He'd just gone on a, fishing expedition or whatever it is. You've got to be the man of the house. No! Who's the grown-up here, for God's sake? No! Let children be children. Let them do what they need to do. And especially when they're grieving and when they have lost. Do not put added responsibility on them to start wearing different hats. Because they're struggling at the best of times. Use reflection, and what I mean by that is projecting back what you hear, just so you don't get it wrong. This is a sort of childline sort of technique. Is when you hear something, just verbalize it back to them, and what that does is it says to the young person, "I hear you." So it's sort of, I'm really, really cross that Grandpa died and I didn't go round and see him when he asked me to last Sunday. And it's not, I can see you're feeling guilty. No, I didn't say I was feeling guilty. I was just feeling cross. So it's, right. So you say that you were cross that you didn't see him on Sunday. Do you want to tell me more about that? Yeah. Yeah, because he said he'd fix my toy and now he can't. Do you know what I mean? Because you don't know where it's going. Do not make the assumptions. Gillian, thank you for joining us. And this is about making assumptions when you're talking to a child about grief. Is my first thing is that, the phone rang and this is a lesson to me. And there was about an 8-year-old child and phoned up and went, hello, and then there was silence. So you give them space and you wait, and thank you for calling Childline, and it might be hard to talk, but I'm here, and then just give them space, because there's a lot going on in a child's head, and you just give them space to work out the words that they want to say. And this little child said, my nan died yesterday. And I said, I'm so sorry to hear that. You must be feeling very sad. And the response was, God, no, I thought she was a cow. So therefore, I had made a huge assumption that this child was sad that Nan had died. None of it. Probably phoning just to, I don't know. But I learned, so I can't even remember what happened next, but I suddenly put the brakes on and thought, Cai Graham, you are making assumptions here that are of your own making, and you have to remember the child is the expert in their own life. So do remember Cai Graham's comment about my nan died yesterday, you must be very sad, because no, this child was not sad. I think this child was absolutely thrilled to bits and didn't quite know how to celebrate without upsetting everyone else. So just work out that your picture of the world could be very, very different to the child's, or anyone's for that matter. Don't assume that grief always brings sorrow and sadness. So explore their feelings and use reflection, but use their words in the hope that you understand, and they will correct you if, like this child does, hell no, God. But so they will correct you if you've got the wrong end of the stick. And that's when communication starts coming back. And reflection does actually show the person that you are listening and you are understanding. And that starts opening doors. It starts peeling back the layers of the onion. So it allows... it allows space for them to start sort of talking again. As I have touched on as well, respect and acknowledge. Respect that if your child is actually opening up to you, it's a big deal. It really is, because I think with bereavement and loss, we are all very vulnerable to our own feelings, vulnerable to the fact that people might feel, abandoned, or might feel scared, or whatever all these things are that's going on. And so it's our job not to try and problem solve, but to try and work out what it is they're feeling, so that we are able to help them process what it is they're feeling. Yeah? Because our model of the world will be very, very different to theirs. And we have to acknowledge that. And, maybe grandpa absolutely terrified them. And maybe they're secretly quite glad that now they don't have to go to Sunday lunch every Sunday. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's just, the point is that your feelings about loss may not be the same as your child. So do acknowledge that. And I've mentioned age-appropriate language. Also, do remember, and we do have to remember we're the grown-up here. This is all really about loss and bereavement as far as coping with teenagers concerned, because it's a parents and teenagers group. So dealing with your loss, and your feelings of grief are one thing. But when you are dealing with your child, make it child-centered totally. It's all about your child, because I'm presuming that your end result is for them to be happy. And for them to... The end result is for them to process this and deal with this and move on more positively with their life. We want, at the end of the day, I'm making a broad brush assumption, we want healthy and happy young individuals going out into the world. And loss and dealing with bereavement is part and parcel of knocking off the edges and helping them grow and helping them develop. But it has to be child-centered, so it has to be in their... They need to be in control. So you might just think, oh my God, we've been sitting down here and we're just about to get a breakthrough and we're just about to move. And then they go, thanks, right, that's it. I'm going to go and play on the PlayStation now. And you're going, no, you can't come back. We were just bonding and talking and you were opening up to me and I want to hear more and I can help you. No. When it's time for them to leave, they will tell you, and you will have to just respect that. Because if you jump down their throat and go, no, but we were just getting to the meaty bit and I know I can help you and I'm here. Because when you start feeling needy and when it's all about you, then your the drawbridge goes up and you've lost them. So if it's the sort of, all right, yeah, thanks, I'm going to go, I've had enough now and whatever, take a deep breath and go, yeah, thanks for that. And, I'm here if you need me again, whenever. I'm always here. And it's hard because you just think you're about to make a breakthrough and they probably know it and want to process it themselves without having your, whoever breathing down their neck. And that's the way it works. So take your ego out of it, take your emotion out of it. It's not all about you. Oh my God, I made a breakthrough and they're feeling better because I was there for them. No. It is all about just saying, I'm here and you can lean on me if you want to. And they won't to begin with, but it's giving them the space to go, yeah, all right. And when you verbalise how you feel, not weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth, but, God, I felt really this today, or I felt really that, or, And it's them to get, then they realise, oh my God, it's not just me. Oh my God. And you're just opening it all up. So, let me just run through different stages of grief. I think I've sort of hit on them all. And as many, if you Google grief, it's got, so here's the cycle of grief. You start off with, no, you don't. Because I haven't done very many of these. But hey, sadness, yeah, I've done that. But anyway, it's not about me, it's about, let's just go through it. So there are some, all or none of these. But the point is have a look and you might recognise them and go, oh my God, yeah. That's why he's being a bit like that. Well, that's why she said that. I get it now. Sadness. Shock. Denial. Anger and rage. Depression and detachment. Acceptance. Confusion. Guilt. And fear. And actually, let me throw it all in its head and go things like relief and things like gratitude. Been listening so intently, just realised I didn't say hi. Jenny, good to see you, thank you. Death can bring positive feelings. Especially terminal, thank God they're no longer suffering and that sort of thing. But other things like, oh my God, I'm not in the firing line any longer. I'm afraid, it brings up different things for different people. And so it's worth acknowledging that. This childline model did not have relief there, but that 8-year-old child that phoned me, he was celebrating. So there we are, What else? Yeah, how does this manifest itself? Young people, well, we know it, we've seen it. They overreact. Younger ones might be sort of clingier, might not want to let you out of their sight, because what happens is when they suddenly understand that death is permanent, then suddenly it's, oh my God, it's going to happen to everyone. What happens if it happens to you tomorrow, or what happens if it happens to me tomorrow, and suddenly it upsets the apple cart, and they are on their guard, and it's, no, I've got to keep my loved ones near and dear to me close, because this can't happen again, I'm so wounded. Does that make sense? The older ones tend to internalise it, because they know that they can feel, their body can feel all this crap going on, and they just don't know how to verbalise it and how to express it and how to say how they feel without it sounding bad, or more to the point, without upsetting you. And that's important, that they don't feel that they're upsetting you, because otherwise they won't say it. I don't want to upset mum, I don't want to upset dad. They're having a bad enough time, they don't want to worry about me as well. Oh, actually, yeah, they do, love, because you're still here. You're hurting. Whoever has gone, sad as it may be, we can't do anything about that, but we can help one another. So it's important to let your child acknowledge that actually now their feelings are more relevant than less. So that's quite important. They might feel loneliness. They might feel just abandoned. And it's acknowledging that. Not going, oh, but you always have me. But it's more like, listen, I'm here for you. And if I'm here for you always. As long as I can, oh yeah, but, look what happened. As long as I physically can be here with you, and you can go into faith and whatever if that's important to you. But also it's the thing, you are not on your own. Don't forget that there are other people who love your child, and are there to support them. When my kids go through bad times and they don't want to talk to me or Mike, I say, well, Uncle Will's there. And I know that they have been to speak to Uncle Will a number of times. And I think the thing is that it is my responsibility not to then go to Uncle Will and go, what the hell did they say? Come on, tell me. Because that's my ego. That's me sort of wanting to control everything and know everything that's going on. Your end result is to have a happy, well-balanced child. And if they need to find solace or help or support from another and it's not you, suck it up. It's not all about you. I'm going to sneeze. So I said to my kids very, very early on, if you need to speak to someone and it's not me, I get that. I could be half the problem. I don't know. Go and speak to Uncle Will. If you, yes, of course, there are other people that can help, but if you need someone that you can trust implicitly, and Will would just say to me, yeah, it's all right, we're dealing with it. It's fine, don't worry. And that's massive to know that your child is able to turn to someone that isn't just you. And I guess that's the strength of family, but it doesn't just have to be family. It can be whoever your support network is. But find one, because it helps, because we all need a safety net. And if you know that your child has got a safety net, oh my God, it's golden. Yeah. And there's another one, probably the last bit, is when, and you're likely to hear it, is when you're sort of, right, well, let's try and move on. Let's try and do this. What's the point? What's the point? Well, because when kids start understanding about life and death, and when they're feeling wounded and they're feeling upset and they're feeling, it's just, what's the point? Really, if all it is for us to be, on this planet for such a short time, who cares about, I don't know, practicing your scales? Who cares about good grades? Well, that's up to you. How do I deal with anticipation of grief? My daughter has told others how scared she is of losing me, and I've been told that's why she pushes. Oh, I can't remember. I can't see any further. I think the anticipation, let me just see what else you said. I can't see, but I get what you're trying to say, Jenny. Rather than how scared she is of losing you, have you actually had that conversation with her? Have you had, and the point is that, and forgive me if I'm treading on toes and eggshells here, but is this because you are of, because your health is bad, or is it because there is something terminal that that is, a flag in the sand, so to speak? Because when Dad was dying, we knew that he was dying, if that makes sense. So we were able to do stuff about it, and we were able to prepare mentally, and it was, yeah, cool, right, okay. Because this is because when Dad was terminal, he sort of had I find, well, as we all do, but this is the problem, isn't it? 'Cause it's not a cookie cutter. He was terminal, and we knew that the guys sort of basically said, listen, it's going to be months, not years. So we knew, even though we didn't know the date, we knew. So we were able to start preparing. With you, though, Jenny, it's asthma, yes, critical at times, but it's something that you're living with, and it's something that you're dealing with. And so it God willing, it could go on for a very, very long time. So the question is that actually you're living with this this sort of, I was going to say shadow, it doesn't necessarily have to be, but I would suggest it is worth, how old's your daughter out of interest? And then that sort of might help because it's age appropriate. The thing is explaining to her, I get what's going on here. I get that you're trying to push me away because you are nearly preparing yourself for the worst. And I get that. But in doing so, darling daughter, you are deprived. 13. Okay, well, listen, for a start, she's popping with hormones. She's got all other insecurities and stuff going on that, every other teenager has. So she's got myriad of stuff going on. But it would be a matter, personally, because, I this is all my personal view, but mature, as I've been disabled since before. Okay, so she's grown up with it, but she is now 13 and understanding about life and death. When she was 4, she hadn't a clue, but now she's sort of processing it all. But I would suggest is, hang on a minute, I get why you're behaving like this. Or not behaving. I get your feelings, and I get that actually it's a bit of self-preservation. If I push mum away, then when the inevitable happens, and let's face it, it is inevitable for all of us, as I said, no one gets out of this malarkey called life. It's just when, and we don't know that. It's probably a good thing that we don't. She is robbing herself and you the opportunity to have a wonderful relationship because she's scared, because she is trying to protect herself. So because it's only a when for any of us, but when this happens, she is prepared. So just ask her and say, well, hang on a minute, you are behaving like this because I get that, I understand it, and it's natural, and it's a sort of self-preservation mechanism. But what happens if I live until you're 45, 50 and you've got 3 kids? Do you want to spend the whole of that time pushing me away? And then it's not, that's actually, putting it like that makes her sound bad, so don't use those words. But just say, and you please use the words that work best for you, but it makes me sad to feel that we could lose out on a relationship of fun and whatever, whatever your asthma allows you to do. But it's a bit like when we knew that this was Dad's last Christmas. We sort of we knew. Well, I had discussed the elephant in the room with him many, many times, but we didn't need to do it over Christmas as well, if that makes sense, because this was a time. So maybe, Jenny, it's a matter, Alison, thank you for joining us. Maybe it's a matter of going, listen, I need to hear what you've got to say because I want to support you and I want to help you. And actually, I want to have fun with you. Let's not make these years, however many they are, let's not make them an act of sort of negativity and self-preservation and protecting you from the inevitable. God, otherwise we'd all be sitting in nuclear bunkers somewhere, wouldn't we? So the point is let us embrace what we've got, and what, if we were, why don't we have a treat every week? And it doesn't matter if it's painting your nails, or if it's going to the movies, or if it's, I don't know, maybe not whitewater rafting, but do you know what I mean? And it's putting stuff in the diary to look forward to stuff. That sounds doable. I just hope she hears me. She's locked me out of everything. Right, okay. Now here's a good one. And I can't remember if I've discussed it before. It sounds like now is the time to write a letter to your darling daughter. Letters are hugely powerful, and they are very much, what letters do, and it's basically, it's this is how I feel, without making you feel guilty, but this is what I want for your life. I want to watch you grow up and to be a strong, independent young woman, and I can't wait to help you with your children. And to be a granny just the thought of being a granny fills me with joy. Whatever it is you need to say. And I'm so proud of the fact that you do this, and I love the fact that you do this, and I want to share in the fact that you do that, because and you can say whatever you want to say. The benefit of a letter is invariably they screw it up and throw it in the corner and then come back to it. And the nice thing about a letter is they can sit down with no one else around. And I've written letters to my kids. Don't write too many, because they lose their impact. But you say she's locked you out of everything. This is a great way of saying, here you are. And actually, I didn't even hand my letter. I wrote it, and mine sort of turned into 4 pages. Handwritten, because that's just the way I am. To me, handwritten letters come from the heart rather than do whatever works for you. It's who am I to judge? But that's my suggestion. Handwritten letter, and I left it. I sometimes if my kids weren't about, I had to post them. And it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, I wrote them both letters to say how incredibly proud I was of them. And it was only half a page long, and then Alice sent me a picture of her in tears because she thought it was lovely, and she said, but sometimes I just need to hear these things. The point of a letter, as I keep trying to start, and I'm not saying it properly, is it removes your reaction out of the equation. I've done 2 letters previously. She read, bin them, and it's like I've given her extra tools to hurt me. She's hurting, Jenny. Who's the grown-up here? She is hurting, and she needs to, when we get cross, who do we lash out to? The closest to us. So, and for those people that are watching and say, come on, Cai Graham, get to the point, what's the point of a letter? It removes your ego, it removes your emotions, and it removes the responsibility of the recipient to react in a way that they feel they should react. Okay, so it allows them to either sort of it allows them to react however they need to, without the glare of a spotlight of whoever sent the letters. So I sort of sent them to my kids, and I remember one I wrote to Jack, and he didn't even mention it for about a week and a half. And I thought, well, I presume he read it because it was sitting on his pillow. And then it started to come out, and then it sort of, you could see his body language had changed, and you could see, and he sort of made reference to it, a comment I had made in the letter, and I thought, right, well, okay, it's landed. But well done for trying, Jenny. The thing is, you can't do anything else but keep on trying. Just keep on the lines of your communication, and it might only be one way, and that's a bit like parents from separated families feel. I've tried and I've given up because they don't respond. No, I'm afraid to say you've got to keep on going. I know she's hurting and she's scared. I want her to know I love her and care very much, but she just won't see or hear anything I do or say. Invariably, what you're saying is also very much, I hear many parents saying that, and it's got nothing to do with the health of the parent. It's just teenagers and parents at loggerheads sometimes. But I think the secret is to keep on acknowledging that you love them dearly, keep on telling them that you are there for them, whichever way. It's a bit like Pavlov's dog, that the more you do it, the more they hear it. It'll start sort of settling in. They might be too proud to respond, they might be too scared, they might be too cross, whatever's going on. But it's our job to keep on trying. It's our job to keep on, put it this way, if you stop trying, then it's thank you and good night, isn't it? Because invariably they're not going to reach out. So my view is you just got to keep on going. You just got to keep on. And it could take a week, could take a month, could take a year, could take God knows how long. You know, I've sort of various estranged people in my family, and you know, whatever. Families are very strange, but you've got to do what your heart says is the right thing to do for you, for your situation. And I think the thing is always remembering is remove your egos, remove your emotions. This is the child. The child is going to be the one that doesn't have the emotional intelligence to cope with this. Her dad left before she came home from hospital. She had no contact. I tried to be everything. Yeah, just try to be you. You know, you can't be everything. We can what was it, that quote? We can have anything we want, but not all at the same time. And I think it's as long as we approach things with love, and as long as she's probably, the thing is if her dad left, she's probably feeling abandoned. But God, be very, very careful, Cai Graham. You know, are you sad your nan's left? No, I'm thrilled. You know, I can't make assumptions, and nor can you. Your book arrives this afternoon, my Christmas present. Mwah, you wonderful girl. Thank you. I think that's all we can do. That's all we, maybe some people are looking here, oh God, Cai, you're talking a load of rubbish. I'm sorry, I'm doing the best I can. And I think that's all we can do. And your darling daughter is doing the best that she can. She just doesn't have the breadth of experience. And so what does she do? She kicks off, and she tries to protect herself. She is trying so hard to be self-reliant because one parent has left, and she's terrified of the other one. And she's probably thinking, God, I hate making generalizations, but I understand how, oh my God, I've been wittering on for too long. I've got my power's gone, or going. So I'm going to have to close down or I don't know where my charger is. But the point is that her feelings are probably, if I leave myself wide open, oh my God, God forbid what happens if I'm totally on my own. So even, who's her support network? You know, who is going to step in? Who is going to look after her? You know, who looks after her when you go into hospital? It's those things, and it's to wrap her in cotton wool with all the other people that love her as well. Because I guess it's probably quite scary for her, and I get that. And so maybe it's we need to have a chat about what if, like I did with Dad. You know, can I, we're now going to plan my funeral. But we did it with laughter, and we did it with love. I just wish she didn't aim everything at me. Hang on a minute, Jenny, who else is there to? I try to tell myself it's her way of showing me love. No, come on, who else? When she's scared, when you, and this is the wrong analogy because I don't want to call your daughter a rat, but when you back a rat into a corner, what's it going to do? It goes for the closest point, you know. So no, I wish she didn't aim everything at me. She has, to my opinion, if one parent's gone, you are the only person, so take it on the chin. And yes, suck it up, I'm afraid. And that's with love, and it's not naughty, shame on you. It is your job. It is your job to look after your daughter and to understand her. Yes, you are going through crap. I get that. Totally get that. But as far as this part of the conversation is concerned, it's not about you, it's about her. So, and I take this with love, and take this with me trying to support you. I must call a spade a spade. I could sort of sit there and go, oh my word, things are tricky for you. I understand that, that's a given. But it doesn't serve you if I just sort of sit there and go, oh Jenny, I can really understand your situation, it must be hard. Everyone has hard situations. She has a huge group of people. Wonderful. How wonderful. But the thing is, she probably doesn't feel strong enough to lash out at them. So you are going to be her target. And I'm afraid you have to take it on the chin. Yeah, no, thank you, darling. It's hard. You're going through crap. But to know that you're dealing with the daughter in the best way that you can will relieve some of that burden for you. And it might be worth having a conversation with her, or even in the letter, here's the what ifs. I love you dearly, and maybe you've done it, you probably have, and maybe I'm teaching Granny how to suck eggs. But it's your daughter's lashing out, and fact, what can I say? It's because she's scared, and it's because you're the only one that she can lash out to. I'm presuming she's an only child, I don't know. There's another assumption, you see, you've got to be careful. But I would say keep on doing what you're doing. And hats off to you, because it's tricky, but that's what it's all about. We have to, you are building your child, you're building a new person who is, through what you're doing is you're showing her a growth mindset, but let's try and turn her negativity into positivity. And let's try and turn it into love rather than anger, because show her a little bit of the lightness, and it drowns out the darkness. It's God, you know. It's all words, isn't it? No, you absolutely, well done. Keep on keeping on. That's all you can do, for goodness sake. Otherwise, you just drink gin, eat chocolates, and rock in a corner somewhere. There's a lot to be said for that as well. You can do both. But yeah, it's hard. But I think the thing is that we just, as the adults, we have to be strong. And maybe you're not physically strong, but emotionally you are going to, you probably are a hell of a lot, well, you are a hell of a lot stronger than you think. And it's a matter of just somehow getting her to open up. And maybe not protecting her from your feelings the whole time. Maybe just not, oh my God, I'm terrified of the future, but I'm just feeling, God, sad and muddled today, or I just need, can I just have a bit of reassurance, or will you sit with me and watch the Strictly final, or whatever it is. A lot of the time, it is just physical presence. The words can wait. Physical presence is quite important as well. Because it's baby steps, Jenny. You're not going to break through this anytime. Well, you could anytime soon. That sounds ridiculous. You are not going to bash this nut this evening. But by keeping on, as you said, she will open up as a flower. But just maybe how exciting. You know, I don't know. I can't wait until we hear the, your kids are opening their stockings in how many years' time? How cool is that? And every year I'm going to, I don't know, get a decoration for the tree for your first Christmas tree, or whatever it is. Show her there's a future. Show her there is something to look forward to. We are all stronger than we think. Times like this prove it, and it's hard, but we muddle through. Lisa, what the bloody hell else is there to do? You know, that's the whole point, isn't it? We've been, each of us collectively, or something just dropped, each of us have been through rubbish, but we're still here. We're still dusting ourselves down and getting on with it. And we're good at that. And we need to remember that. We have the resilience. Our children need to learn that resilience, and that's the thing. They need to learn how to do it. And it is only from our guidance that they know that, yeah, we can turn a page and we can keep on going. We do not forget. We cannot rewrite the past. But it's a matter of just gently moving on. Not with all guns blazing. Not, right, okay, 2018, a new year. No, because actually that makes me want to, really not interested. But what it's all about is just giving your child the growth mindset and the can-do attitude and the positivity to realise that they're going to be all right, and for as long as you are able to support them, that is it. But physical presence followed by emotional presence, and then you can sort of gently unwind and start opening up. And it doesn't happen overnight. It really doesn't. But just start voicing your hopes and dreams for the future. And and just sort of, oh my God, this is so exciting, or I can't wait until whatever. and just gently, without treading on their grief, without trampling all over their own feelings. But show them a bit of yours, because I think the thing is that when we show our vulnerability, it also shows our strength. Brene Brown, God, ask her about vulnerability. Brilliant TED Talks if you want to go and watch it. By having the courage to be vulnerable, and this is a bit what I do. I've just decided, listen, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I tell you most of what's going on in my life, just to show that, by showing vulnerability, I hope we show strength. And that's with your children as well. By showing them, I'm feeling crap too. They go, but hang on a minute, you look like you've got it all together. I thought you weren't grieving, or I thought you weren't this. No, believe me, I'm a mess. I'm like that sort of, the swan and the duck feet going underneath. I think we need to protect and nurture and look after our children, but we need to also show them that we're human and that we are able to keep on persevering, as Lisa said, to keep on going and muddle through. And that's all what it's about, really. And if you muddle through together as a family, as a group, as a set of friends, as mum and kids or dad and kids or whoever. My stepkids are amazing, and I'm incredibly proud of whom they are, and going, yeah, great, how exciting, great things to come from them. But that's because you're there nurturing them. That's because you're there supporting them. That's because you're there showing them the possibilities that are available. So go you. How fantastic is that? To know. And this is what my kids sort of say, is it suddenly dawned on them that I have their back and I am not on their back. And yeah, Jack would go, all right, really. But, they know. They know that without judgment that they can turn to me. No, they come and ask for help sometimes and muddle through other times. That's what it's all about. You don't want to take over. You don't want to, don't worry, I've got it sorted, I'll get it. It's just there going, listen, I'll give you a nudge and I'll help you if you need me. That's fantastic, Lisa, well done. And I think the thing is just keeping the lines of communication open, and eventually your child will pick up. It could be, I don't know how long, I can't tell you that, But if they know that there is always support from you, even if they're not going to take it, it's quite a nice feeling knowing that someone's there who's got your back. So I think I shall stop. I've been on for quite a long time. My battery's about to run out, so I've got to go. But I hope this was useful, and I think I might edit it and put it on the YouTube channel. But one, if working hard to be oh my God, and another to be a forensic scientist. And jeepers, they're going to be good. Well done. That's fantastic. Yeah, because they've got someone supporting them with their dreams. They've got, rather than, God, you really think you could do that? Imagine. Someone, you're there looking after them and supporting them. And, if you love them, you'll set them free. And it's so exciting watching them go. Lucky you. And they've got you at their side. Hurrah, celebrate that. Go and pat yourself on the back. Buy yourself a big bun. Because that's that. Do you know what? That's all we want as individuals. I say our three basic needs, really, apart from, sort of a roof over our heads and food and water, are to be loved, to be understood, and to be respected. There's my battery, it's about to go. And they're getting that, Lisa, clearly. So well done you, because that's fantastic. It's nice as a child. I remember knowing that someone's got your back, and your family have got just that. So I salute you. And on that note, wonderful people. It was good, and I hope that's lifted the lid on it. There's not a cookie cutter. It's not a solution, but it's just sort of, all we can do is our very best. So much love. And self-care advent calendar tomorrow. Don't even know what it is. I don't know. I can't even find my timetable. It doesn't matter. Thank you so much, and I shall chat to you all at some stage. All right then. Bye-bye.